say this, but this dude trying to give me 10 grand. I'm being dead serious.
Why you ain't take it?
Well, he's got to get it from his lawyers first. Because he's got a suit going on against McLaren. How you know that whack ass hospital that you be trying to go to?
Yeah.
You know, that hospital be fucking people up. Is it recorded?
Hold on.
I'm talking about the camera, fool, not that.
Yeah, they're both recording.
All
Make
right.
sure you hit your clap.
All right, cool. Is it everything's already set up, right?
Yeah.
All right then. All right, podcast episode 3. This nigga, God, here we go with this recording shit. You know, I'm just gonna ignore him. I'm not gonna give him any attention. I've already done roasted your face enough, dude. You know, Jesus Christ, you ugly. So, anyways, episode 3 of this podcast. You know, this is kind of a request of a podcast. Hold on, I gotta adjust this thing. This thing is all weird. Excuse my producer. He's not the brightest chicken wing in the box. I'm talking about Justin. So Facebook here. All right. So episode 3 here at this podcast, I would like to give a couple shout outs. One, shout out to Coach Dave Taddy, you know, the coach, my football coach in high school. Who else I'd like to shout out? Shout out to the ASMR community. Who else am I going to shout out today? Because this episode's kind of getting off to a weird start. Let's see. Just anybody that's paid attention to the podcast, you know. I don't have any real big expectations of where this thing is going to go. I just kind of just going with the flow and freestyling. Eventually, I'm going to branch out of this room. I've been talking to other places about doing a podcast independently so I can get out of my bitch ass producer's room, Justin. No disrespect. But that's what the plan is. So, sorry, I got to adjust this thing. It's kind of weird. That's the plan. So this episode is going to be about Facebook problem, or I would call it the Facebook problem. This was a request by Dave Teddy, which I thought was a good thing to start with, because I think in the second episode I had talked about, I can't even remember what I talked about in my second episode. Kanye West, and I talked about kind of, you know, I kind of didn't get to expound too much. I think I just kind of just went into a spiel about who Kanye West was, you know. Sometimes I do an episode I won't remember. Just go check that episode out. So just reiterating what, you know, just trying to reiterate, but I don't even remember what I did in my second episode. So this is kind of like, you know, this was a suggestion from Coach Dave Taddy. Of course, I got my buddy Jordan Curry from Arizona. He wants me to expound on my trip to Arizona. I want to start with, you know, there might be a period of time where I expound and shoot on certain things that have happened. You know, my story is very vast and long, and it's very hard to explain a story because I don't have this podcast can't last 5 hours. So I will shoot on certain things of experiences I've had going back as far as 2017, 2018, when I was kind of going through my little mental spiel, trying to get the hell out of this town and, you know, trying to find a setup in a different place life-wise. But yes, Arizona, Jordan Curry. Yes, I will get to Arizona. All right. You don't know who Jordan Curry is. He's just another friend, you know, that lives in Arizona. They want to expand on Arizona. I will expand on that at a later time. Right now, this is kind of, I want to tackle a couple of controversial issues. I'll say around the 4th or 5th episode, I might step outside of that. So now we're getting to the Facebook problem. Now, you know, I want to start out by saying something about Facebook. You know, there was a period of time, I think when I first made a Facebook, you know, try not to say the word I'm going to get into practice of that. But when I first made Facebook, I remember that it was a website where it was just kind of like, it was just a website where I kind of got to see things that really I didn't really care for. You know, I remember when I first got on there, I kind of was connecting with, you know, my friends. You know, I think my friend Bradley Winslow, who will be producing a podcast for me very soon. He was the one that, you know, suggested me to make the Facebook, and I got into it. And, you know, when I first got into Facebook, I noticed that it was just kind of a website where people can, you know, they can kind of, I guess, show off their life, but it seemed like people was like on there with TMI. You know, it started out with a lot of people would make out with their girlfriend on Facebook, and it was just a way for people to kind of show off what they were, you know, how much pussy they could get, or, whatever the quote unquote person they claim to be in love with. I remember Facebook kind of started out as like a notebook, Dear John looking type of piece of crap website that, you know, was kind of, I thought was kind of corny and stupid because when I first got on Facebook, I didn't really, I guess I would say I didn't know how to use it. So, as I got to know Facebook, it got to getting shit straightened out, you know, I started noticing Facebook progress more towards I would say more like you know the aspect of people kind of bullying you. I remember when my first time in a Facebook fight, I had like 150 people like literally roasting the shit out of me, like just making fun of me because I think I had went at a certain person that had did something that had popped up, and then I had some friends who, I guess were trying to defend that guy. They came at me and tried to act as if they were friends with that person, and they basically all 150 of them just started coming at me, and really it destroyed the integrity of the relationship between. I never really thought of them as much, you know, and it progressed on into like relationships, more of people expressing kind of how they felt, in a relationship. It started out, I'm going to say around 012, 013. There's a woman by the name of Heather Sturdivant who, I hope she sees this podcast because shout out to Heather Sturdivant. I call, me and her like the king and the queen of our particular circle when it comes to Facebook and the crazy things that we would say. And, we kind of came up with like she was, get on Facebook and talk about pizza, or, we'd call out these hoes for being fake, and, you know, and shit like that. And me and her have a lot of, personality traits that are similar. And yes, I do love Heather Sturdivant. She's kind of like, I told her she's like the Adele of Facebook, and I'm like the Weeknd with a little bit of Daft Punk. I said that in a status. I know it sounds kind of corny, but you don't get it because you ain't been following me on Facebook from that period of time. I'd say from 012 to 014, I was going through my particular, crazy point in life. So, like me personally, I get on Facebook and I'll post something that, the craziest thought that comes to my head. And that's what I was kind of known for. I would get on Facebook and, say I hit on a girl, I would say some really crazy, outlandish thing that came to my head. And, it started to go viral. I knew from like 012 to 014, I think that was a period of time where people were like, what the fuck is Lance Hill talking about? And I remember that period of time. I also remember that period of time where Facebook was kind of making its transition to being more of a website, based on just stupid, funny shit and people just being crazy on there, to it getting more based, people, women complaining about their issues with their relationships. Um, and, it just started to become ultra like, oh, where are all the good men at? All this other bullshit. And I'm just giving you just basically because this podcast is not going to be a long episode, but I'm just giving you kind of a timeline. Then it went from that to getting ultra political. Now it seems like it's information overload on Facebook. Facebook's became kind of a website to where they can cancel you if they don't like what you say. I ended up losing my Facebook, I think around 017 at the time I had about, my Facebook was really at its peak. I think it was like 1,700 friends. And then I think I had said something about single moms. And that Facebook was completely deleted and never figured out what the fuck happened to that Facebook. So I ended up going through a period of transition with having to constantly make new Facebooks. I think all of 2020, because I'm just giving y'all the watered down version. I didn't think I'll make an episode 2 on the Facebook problem, but just giving you a timeline. 2020 was really a weird year on Facebook because I had been getting banned on Facebook for 30 days. It seemed like every other Facebook status. And I would have to make a new Facebook and then get banned on there, make another Facebook, get banned on there, to the point to where now people won't accept my friend request because I got like 50 million Facebooks. So it transitioned to that, to now me finally being able to hold on to one particular Facebook for a while. And, I haven't really had to worry about a 30-day ban, but I remember I spent more time during the pandemic in Facebook prison than I did, posting statuses, because I think my stuff was getting demonetized. I think one of that had to do with a girlfriend was probably reporting, ex-girlfriend was reporting me, or I don't know if Ashley was doing that. And yes, I mentioned your fucking name, so what? Um, but there was some, there's her, either her or Christian was doing it. Eventually, those two are no longer a part of my Facebook strata anymore. And I noticed that the censoring kind of got better. So I don't know if that was her way of kind of, I don't know. Chick had little issues, and I'm not going to get into that until another episode. And I may not ever get into that because I don't like to talk about relationships pertaining to me. It's in the past. What happened happened, and it's it just is what it is. Um, but getting into the whole Facebook thing, I got it. Dave Taddy, I think wanted me to address the difference between people in real life on Facebook and people. The difference between people on Facebook and people in real life. Sorry, I'm stuttering over. I'm a little, tired. So, um, so what I mean, when it comes to this whole subject with Facebook and the metaverse versus real life, the one thing I'm going to say right now is that I'm going to start off with saying that you got a lot of people that masquerade on Facebook. There's people that get on Facebook and they're able to build a cult of personality because they're only going to show you what they want you to see. So you might be, say, interested in somebody, and let's say you're interested in a girl or whatever, and that chick will only show you, maybe pictures of her and her mother together, maybe pictures of only her and her child together smiling, maybe pictures of her partying and having a good time with her brother, whatever. But the true her in real life and what she's portraying on Facebook at that particular moment is not the real her. Like I was kind of cracked a joke, I think, in the past where I had said the person that accepts your friend request the quickest is actually the person that actually likes you the most. In some cases, there are people that don't accept your friend requests, but they still follow what you do, and they do it, kind of in secret. Facebook's a weird place. Instagram's like that too. But I think what the issue with Facebook is that, Facebook's become a website for people to try to portray something they're not. You got a lot of people who will get on Facebook and they'll talk about relationships, or they'll share a video, because TikTok is one of the most stupidest, because you got people that get on TikTok, man, and let's say it's a woman that's been hurt by a man, and I'm not, quote unquote, I don't know these chick stories per se, but I just noticed that these people become like a relationship expert. Like they'll get on there, I guess some dude broke their heart, and now all of a sudden they're on TikTok talking about what they think a narcissist really is. And, the one thing that I need to tackle is that, a lot of these people, they don't take time to self-reflect, because Facebook allows people to build an audience based on their own delusional beliefs, because you got a lot of delusional people on social media. One of the things that Facebook does promote a lot is liberalism and the toxic aspect of liberalism. So notice how when you get on Facebook, if you say anything, that is against a particular view, like for example, I was arguing with a sister, a black sister, who I had to call her out because she's in the comment section. She's got a whole husband. She's in the comment section and she's arguing with a bunch of random men. And I'm telling her, I'm like, look, you're arguing with me about a sentiment. I think this sentiment had to do with Kyrie Irving, which is another controversial storyline in the news. Um, I don't even know how to cover that story. I would say right now, I'm just going to give y'all a hint. The thing that's going on with Kyrie Irving is an example of what cancel culture is really about. Because, it's very hard for the free thinking, particularly, and I hate to throw race in here, but you know what? I'm going to do it anyways. It's hard for a black, free thinking black man to talk about his views, because there are some things about this society that people are going to know once the society gets ready to show or fall. And once from a spiritual aspect, the Most High reveals what this society's always been about, which is the veneration of a lot of the satanic principles going way back in antiquity, because America is no different than any other empire, and this society is no different than any other empire from antiquity. I don't care what you're talking about, whether it's the black rulership or not. A lot of people get on that sentiment of pro-blackism, which they need to get off of. Okay, this society, like when you look at it from, and hold up, let me kind of tread back here because I don't want to stutter. This society, man, it's not real. A lot of the things that we're taught and told, man, it's only told from a narrative perspective, and I'm going to leave it at that until I'm able to tackle it in a way to where, number one, I'm informed enough to tell you, from a full perspective, because that's got a lot of nuance. So I'm going to try to stick with the subject. Like when I say I'm going to do Facebook, I'm going to just stick with Facebook. But where Facebook comes in is that it gives a voice to people that aren't very bright. You got people that if they don't like what you got to say on Facebook, they'll call you a name. Rather it's a relation. Say for instance, for example, what really pisses me off is that you got a lot of black women who get on Facebook and if you're a black man, that kind of calls them out on a lot of the things that they're, because you got a lot of black women on Facebook just slandering black men and slandering them. They suck. Black men ain't shit. Black men this. And when the black man rebuts or comes back at them, I see those same black women, they go into this shaming thing where they say, well, if you're talking bad about black women, you don't like your mother. You don't love black women. You should respect black women. And, I know this sounds kind of like really hard for a lot of these black sisters to understand, and they'll get it once they realize that the liberal Caucasian is just using them to promote their own philosophy. And I told this sister, I said, for someone that claims that you claim that you want respect from the black man, but yet you kind of embrace a lot of the ideologies of the Caucasian. Really, to be honest, like these Caucasians, because you think that just because these people are creating these ideological beliefs, and this is where it gets kind of hard to like just explain it to them in the context for them to understand, because they're going to think that I'm a hater. When it comes to any side that you're on, I don't care what side you're on, the left or the right, you must be informed on what the end game is going to be. And what I notice is that you got a lot of black women out here who are hypocrites. They seem to think that the black man's job is just to put them on a pedestal and worship them. And the truth be told is that is not the black man's job at all. The black man's job, or any man's job, is not to venerate the woman at all, unless you're with that quote unquote woman. But even then, you're not supposed to worship the woman. You're supposed to love your woman, respect your woman according to how she conducts herself. You're supposed to be willing to die for your woman. Yes, you are. But at the same time, the woman has to understand that, there are certain boundaries you don't cross. And, these women out here, man, they complain about masculinity not existing. Well, it's because any form of man that speaks in a form like how I'm speaking, you demonetize. When a black man gets to telling the truth, or any man for that matter, you want to demonetize that man. A man is not a misogynist just because he tells it like it is. That's actually a man you should probably want to be with, because that's a man that's actually going to help you understand society from a higher standpoint. A person of wisdom is what you want to surround yourself with. If you want a man, you have to understand that a real man has wisdom, which means a real man is not necessarily going to hearken to everything you want him to hearken to, just like I've said in previous episodes. But I'm kind of getting off topic here. Facebook, you got a lot of people who can get behind the internet and they can troll. They can say certain things about a demographic or say certain things about themselves that are not true. And a lot of times, man, these figures, man, you used to get them on Facebook, they get 150, 1,000 likes, maybe 2,000, 3,000 likes, whatever they can get. And you'll notice that when you meet them at a Kroger or you see them at a McDonald's or wherever else it is, they're a shell of what they are. They're not that same vocal, quote unquote, whatever they are. Let's say they're a social justice warrior. They're not as talkative. They're very shy, or they're very standoffish, or it's almost as if like what they were portraying on Facebook was never what they really are. And and like I said, for the most part, that's usually a majority of the people on social media. You might have a situation where, like for example, you might meet a chick or meet somebody, anybody. I'm trying to keep it on an even playing field here. But let's say for a guy, for example, people for the most part, On Facebook, they might look at my statuses and say, man, Lance Hill be posting some shit that just be out straight out crazy. Like he seemed like he's kind of a dumb fuck. But then you meet me in real life and you have a conversation with me and you realize, holy cow, this guy's a genius. Why does he get on Facebook and post the crap that he posts? But then in real life, he sounds like Obama, or he sounds like a politician, or he sounds like, his IQ is really, really up there. And the reason why I'm like that on Facebook is I don't take Facebook seriously. I look at Facebook as a place where I would say something, whatever comes to my mind. I might get on Facebook and say, I just took a shit today. Good night. Some people get on Facebook and they use Facebook as a way to venerate themselves. Some people get on Facebook to advertise themselves as something that they will never, ever be able to live up to. You got girls that will get on Facebook and they'll post whatever meme that they can claim that claims that they're a good person or they're a good girlfriend, but they're really not a good girlfriend. What makes you a good person isn't based on what you post on Facebook. It's based on what you do in real life. If you're shitty to people in real life, what you say on Facebook has no value. Okay, anybody could get on Facebook and smile, hang out with their best friend, go to the bar, hang out with their best friend, and give you an image of what you call propriety, where it looks like they're quote unquote the type of person you would want to meet. But for the most part, I'm going to tell you, most people that you encounter on your social media, they're not that spectacular in real life. All Facebook has done is given people, like, it's almost like, like when somebody looks at a DNA, like when somebody's doing like some of those forensic files people where, how a drop of DNA can be so tiny that you can't see it with the naked eye. So what do you need? You need like a one of those microscopes or whatever they use in forensic files to see it. And then, you almost have to like look at it and then you get to see what the cells and all that shit look like. But you couldn't see it without actual microscope. You got many people who are on Facebook who are like that. You know what I'm saying? You can't see who their true colors are just from real life, or really, to be honest, or even on Facebook. You look on Facebook, you think, oh, that girl is so nice. She's on Facebook posting about, hey, live a little, love a little more. But then meet them in real life, and they're nothing of that contrary. They're nowhere near close to as intellectual as you meet them in real life. And that could be a man as well. You got people that get on there. You got dudes that get on there and talk about they want a woman to ride or die with them. But, they want to get, but they want a woman to ride or die with them, but they ain't got shit to offer a woman in real life. You see them in real life and they're nothing spectacular. And you got women that are like that too. You got people that they'll give you an image because nobody's going to show their blemishes on social media, because social media is there to build you up into something that you want to be. If you want to be a character, all you have to do is get a Facebook. So, when, Dave Taddy told me this episode, what's really the difference between Facebook and in real life? The difference really is that on Facebook, you don't have to show your true colors. Some people will, because Facebook is kind of a website where, in any social media website is where the more likes you get, it almost becomes like a dopamine. You got people on social media that, they'll got all these followers, all these people that quote unquote love them on Facebook, but they don't really have any friends in real life. You ever notice how these motherfuckers will have 5,000 friends on Facebook and then they'll post, oh, I don't, where all my friends at? It's because they don't have friends in real life. They have what you call a mob of people that are just there to soak in the content that they post, but they don't really give a fuck about them pro se. And, you can learn a lot about people on social media from this standpoint, because I was really going to come into this episode and I don't know why my brain can't get to the point. It's very hard to carry an episode of an hour just talking, because it's kind of simple. A person, what people portray to you on Facebook and what you see, because some people will put because going back to kind of, at the beginning, I remember when I first got on Facebook, a lot of the people that I knew from high school, they started to become almost like a celebrity to me, because it was like, man, these characters, because I remember I went to high school with them and I'm like, these motherfuckers were never this fucking spectacular. And you see them on Facebook and it's like, you would have thought they were Denzel Washington or 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 Anne Hathaway, or Katy Perry or Lady Gaga. You would have thought that because they don't built up such a false facade of themselves to where people are drinking the Kool-Aid. And I was always confused about that, where people will drink the Kool-Aid of somebody just because it's like anybody can get on Facebook and say, live a little. And you'll see me every once in a while. I'll troll somebody on Facebook because they'll post something. Let's say they'll say, God is good. And I'll be like, no, duh, dumbass. Of course, God is good all the time. But they'll get 70, 80 likes for posting God is good. And I'd just be wondering, are the people that are liking that status, do they really understand how simple that is? That's not creative. Like posting a status like life, live life isn't creative, but people will like it 150 times because I guess they don't love life, you know what I'm saying? So they need a Facebook status that makes them feel like they're quote unquote doing the right thing. So you got a lot of girls, particularly in this day and age, where a lot of women have lost, because I know I could seem like I'm attacking the woman. The reason why I'm saying it is because I probably see more women do this than I do see men, and I'm not saying that quote unquote men don't do this as well. But I notice I'll see a lot of women. They get on Facebook and man, they'll share they'll share, hey, I'm good enough. Hey, I'm, love me. Hey, I'm a good girlfriend. Hey, I deserve better. I deserve this. Why ain't I married yet? And you'll look at them and you'll get an understanding of why. It's because of their ego. They don't seem to understand that in order to be in a relationship with somebody, you have to self-reflect. And self-reflecting is not getting on social media and sharing memes about because people on Facebook, they think because they got 20 or 30 of their girlfriends or their grandma and their grandpa gassing them up or their mom gassing them, whoever it is, because sometimes family members, they're afraid to tell the person on that's sharing this stuff the real truth or call them up and tell them the truth, you know. And what happens is that some people get a false sense of what is the word I'm looking for? A false sense of shit. I can't even think of the word. What's the word I'm looking for? They kind of get gassed up or gaslighted, and they don't get the truth. Like those people. When let's say that girl posts on Facebook that she's been through a lot, their grandma and grandpa, I'm pretty sure, or mother and father, or whoever is in their life, their girlfriend, they know what that woman or that person has gone through, but they don't tell that person the truth. Like, well, sweetheart, the reason why you're going through that is because you continuously put yourself in that situation. You need to stay away from them fuck boys and, find you a man that's got wisdom. Find you a man that's going to love and respect you. But also you got to understand that to be loved and respect, you also have to give love and respect. You don't never see that on social media. Most of their girlfriends validate their bullshit and tell them, hey, you're a queen. Don't ever settle. And that's another thing that a lot of women don't see because, people wonder, well, how does he understand the woman so well? Look, it's just from experience, man. I know by nature women don't like each other. So, a lot of times they're, your own mother, your own girlfriends, you might encounter a man like me. And there's a lot of times a lot of girls are intimidated because, I like to say big truths and they probably think, oh, this guy's a big woman hater. You don't understand how much if I hated the woman, I would never say anything. I would just be like, hey, man, it's your own life. Me doing this, I don't have to do this. You know what I'm saying? This ain't paying my bills. This isn't putting food on the table, at least not yet. This is me giving you advice for free, you know, but I'm just giving you the shindig here. A lot of times you have a situation where, say for instance, a Lance Hill might like a girl, and you always know as a man, if you're a man that's smart enough to understand that there's always, when girls roll in packs, you always know there's the leader, there's the other followers, but you always know that there's that one girl that's kind of not all the way down with what these girls are doing, but they just going along because they want friends real bad. And sometimes a dude like myself, and I'm just not trying to sound like I'm a serial killer or anything, but I'll notice that woman, she needs to, I'll be like, man, that woman, she's real cute. And, she seems like the type of girl that needs to be pulled out of there, you know. But at the same time, I'll realize, oh, she's got a pack of women around her. So it's going to be hard to grab her up and hit on her because their girlfriends are going to try to demonetize that or try to make it impossible. And I'm not saying that anybody's ever asked me this, but I'm just going to just say this why they do that. A lot of times, your girlfriends, they don't want to see you find a good man. They don't want to see you get married. They don't want to see you have children, at least not before they get married and have children. Because, I mean, women, like I said, and this is why I tell people the equality thing is kind of bullshit. Because women and men are not equal. That doesn't mean the woman is not valuable. A lot of men don't understand that the woman is valuable when she's in her right mind. you know, but you know, there's always like, some people call it the cock blocking thing. Well, a lot of times the girls, they see that their best friend's getting attention from a dude, that they may not like. They may not like how the dude carries herself, or maybe they think that dude's too ugly for her. And, it's not that they totally think that dude's too ugly for her. It's just they don't want to see her get with any dude before she finds one. And, for her, it's like, hey, I don't want to see, because once a girl gets under the tutelage, if she's lucky enough to find a good man in this society, which there are good men out here, believe it or not, but a good man isn't going to tolerate bullshit. I'm just going to let you know right now. Because a lot of women think that it's the man's job to be this quote unquote romantic simp. It's not his job to be that. His job is to love you, respect you, as long as you carry your way. And yeah, there should be some romance, but you have to give it back. Like, I know this is going to sound kind of stupid, but, a lot of these women, man, they don't know how to spoil their damn man. They don't know how to make their man feel like, hey, I could trust this woman. And that's part of the reason why a lot of men have just gotten the hell out of the dating field. It's like, what's the purpose of getting married? I mean, marriage is a corporate contract. Once you sign that thing, if it doesn't work out, there's a financial loss that comes there. There's a lot of men that don't get married anymore because of the fact that, hey, what's the point? If I get married and the woman says, you know what, I don't want to be with you no more, I got to pay her to leave. And, for the most part, in this day and age. So a lot of men, they don't know what, they're kind of confused. They're like, well, why would I get married and put, all my resources on the line for what? A fake illusion of love? So a lot of women need to understand this. The men are walking away because they don't feel respected and loved. So a lot of these women that claim that, behind every good man is a good woman, well, no disrespect, none of y'all are, there are a lot of y'all aren't good women. So, what a good woman does is she's a helpmeet to her man, which means that she's not going to bring drama and chaos. She's going to bring love and affection. That doesn't mean that, the woman isn't going to be the woman and be a headache. All women are headaches. And I'm saying that out of love. But your goal is to try to be the least amount of headache you can be. Because, hey, you can't, I tell men, you can't, these women today, man, they don't have to listen to you no more because this isn't the 1950s anymore. So, a lot of dudes have to understand, man, it's like even in the scriptures, it says to find a virtuous woman is like as precious as gold. In this day and age, to find a virtuous woman is, it's like finding a needle in a haystack. A lot of that is that culturally we hold the woman to a different, we don't put any standards on the woman anymore, but we hold the man to a standard of propriety. And it brings a lot of confusion because both people have to come together in order for things to work out. And they both have to have morals. You can't have one person having morals and, the man have morals and then the woman can do whatever she wants if you want a stable society or even a stable relationship. So that's the conundrum we're in right now. With relationships, because it's very hard for even the average man, even myself, to like, I'd be afraid my damn self because don't think that Lance didn't want to have kids and get married. But I also have to understand that, hey man, I'm not, interested in the drama that comes with that. I'm interested in, like I said, and I'm not saying everything has to be perfect because marriage by no stretch of the imagination is fun. Just ask my buddy Justin. I mean, shit. He's over here acting cocky, but I guarantee his ass has been so. I'm just playing. I guess his relationship is exciting as fuck. I don't know. But I'm just making fun of my producer. But I'm just saying that, marriage is hard work. My dad was married for 50 years and, I'm gonna keep it 100 with you. Not gonna try to air out my dad, but you know, he needed to get his head out of my mom's ass. I'm talking about my adopted dad and adopted mom. You know, he was a better father when he doesn't have his head up her ass. Because my mom, no disrespect, she listens to this podcast. I'm sorry, but you know, she wasn't the greatest. You know, um, and I have to say that. You know, because this is a channel where I'm just gonna say it like it is. Whatever backlash I get is whatever backlash. But getting back to the point, because I'm kind of going off topic. You know, with Facebook, man, I think what it is a lot of people, man, they kind of expel all their energy on social media of what they are, rather whatever cult of personality they built up. By the time you get to see them in real life, bro, they expanded everything, so they don't have nothing left. They don't have no character. Hold on a second, I gotta check the time on this podcast. So I gotta go on a break. Hold on. Let's see. Okay, all right. So. All right, guys. All right, so we're at 35 minutes here. I'll probably try to kick it for an hour. Um, I don't know if I necessarily even covered everything for Coach Teddy's perspective. Um, like I said, I mean, you got a lot of people out here, man, on Facebook masquerading as a good girlfriend. You got a lot of people out here masquerading as a good husband. You got people on social media masquerading as people of knowledge. You got motherfuckers that get on Facebook and they talk about being their own god. Or they talk about, like me, I get on Facebook. Yes, I've called myself a legend, but that's not quote unquote because I am. Oh man, this thing has got. Oh man, hold on a second. I don't know what's going on. What the actual fuck? Oh my god. Hang on a second. This is why his ass needs to kind of. Hello. See, this is why I don't like. This is why I'm gonna get my own setup so I don't have to deal with his stupid ass. Like what the actual fuck? I guess the heater is on, so the heater is on in this podcast, so I guess you can hear it in the mic as well, which is a little stupid. Fuck. Like I wish that they would not have the heat on, but I can't tell them what to do. This is why I got to get my own set. I hope this podcast isn't too weird because I can hear that shit in my headphones, and it's just kind of weird. You know, somebody's probably gonna watch this podcast and think that's hilarious. I don't even know what thing. Hold on a second. Yeah, I don't know. Hello. It's great because you know what? This audio is separated from from the camera, so what's heard in my headphones probably won't be heard on the podcast. Thank freaking God, because it's kind of stupid. I don't want people to hear trucks driving by. That's kind of funny, and kind of just defeats. It makes kind of kills the integrity of the podcast, if you know what I'm saying. So, but yeah, just getting back to the point. I guess we'll just have to deal with it. I don't think my phone will be recording that because this mic, with a mic, sometimes it picks up a lot of shit. So sometimes you'll hear, somebody decides that they want to fucking jerk off in a cup. You'll hear it, So now I kind of forgot my sentiment that I'm on. Getting back to the Facebook thing, this podcast is going to be kind of funny and weird. You're going to get the bloopers type of stuff. So, I think it makes it more organic to not have to edit too much, but, he'll have to edit the audio. That won't be my responsibility because he's the fucking producer. So do your fucking job, Justin, you bitch ass motherfucker. So, getting back to the point, I'm trying to get to a sentiment here that makes sense because I kind of have to have a last word. I think I pretty much covered it all. Because there's going to have to be an episode 2 where I'm going to have to just go through it, because, what people need to understand about social media, man, it's the metaverse. So, of course, people are only going to give you the good side of who they are. They're not going to, show you the bad side. Now, every once in a while, you'll see what you call something that will show if a person is really broken. Because if a person is posting, like, for example, they're posting relationship memes about how much that, how they feel that they're, I'm this and that, and all men suck. It's clear, like you got a lot of, I'll see stuff in my news feed where a woman will talk about narcissistic men, and then you'll read her post about what narcissism is, and you'll notice you'll be like, this girl kind of sounds like a narcissist. You know what I'm saying? And you got a lot of men too. They'll get on Facebook and man, they be all up in there and they just, like I got a friend of mine that's on my newsfeed. I'm not going to mention his name because I don't want to be seem like I'm slandering him, because this isn't a slander towards anybody. This is just a perspective of truth so that people can get better. If you're on Facebook doing all these things that I mentioned, you got to stop. You got to stop and look at yourself. If you got to get on Facebook and tell everybody that you're good enough to be somebody's wife or girlfriend, then you're probably not good enough to be somebody's wife or girlfriend. And that's a you issue. It's the same thing if you got to get on Facebook and advertise if you're good enough to be a woman's wife or, husband, whatever, or a woman's husband. You're probably not good enough. You know what I'm saying? And here's the thing about it is that might be a good thing. I mean, shit, being my mom told me, like being married, even though me and my mother, my adoptive mom, me and her don't see eye to eye. We clash. There's a love-hate relationship there. My adoptive mom has a lot of wisdom that I could drink from because she will give me bits and pieces of the nature of the woman here and there. And I'll hearken to it a little bit. But even my adoptive mom is like, Showtime, like marriage ain't all that, man. My dad will tell you that too. Marriage ain't all that, man. It's a huge work. For ask Justin's ass. I guarantee you. He trying to act like it's all cool in the hood, but it isn't. It's hard work. Anybody that's married. Ask my buddy Tim Hunter, my DJing buddy. I don't even know. Dave Taddy might even have something to say. It ain't easy. So, marriage is something it's a two-way street, but any relationship you get in, like, number one thing that I would say is that, you got a dynamic where a lot of times the Most High will send a man to one of these women out here who are quote unquote looking, and they may not want to be with that man. Say they sin. I'm just going to use me as an example because I just feel like it. The Most High might send me to you. I might be your husband, but you might not want me to be your husband, or might not. Oh, Lance Hill, his nose is too big. He's too loud. He's too intelligent. I don't need to be with a man that's going to call me out on my shit or talk the way he talks. He seems like he don't love women. I got to go be with somebody that's going to be watered down. And then, the Most High allows you to be, because I'm speaking from a spiritual standpoint, the Most High might allow that to happen. And, then that fuckboy that's a piece of shit, he might treat you like crap, leave you with 2, 3 kids, whatever, and be gone and out of the picture. And then, the same Lance Hill or same me, or it could be anybody, because I'm just using me as an example. You know what I'm saying? The Most High sends another woman my way. I get married. You see, I got a healthy marriage and healthy kids, and you see me go through being happy, and that woman's happy, and you missed your blessing. So you got to understand something like, sometimes the man of your dreams, man, is just a regular guy. He's not gonna be no 6'5", 250-pound defensive end for, the the Buffalo Bills or whatever team, or he's not going to be a 7-foot tall, Luka Doncic that can dunk a basketball. He might be a 5'11", 180-pound, mailman. You know what I'm saying? And you got to understand, just because you're quote unquote a cute girl doesn't mean you deserve the hottest dude. You know what I'm saying? Because understand, the better looking the man, the more options he's going to have. You know what I'm saying? But even some of the more better looking men, they're like, it's hard for them to get a good woman. And this dynamic of relationships, the reason why it's so toxic is because of these ideologies. A lot of these women, man, they're like, if he is not he don't believe in women's rights, he's a bad man. It's not, if a man is not necessarily all the way down with a lot of the, what you call, because these women, when they talk about rights, they don't seem to understand something. Where this society is about to go, none of us are going to have any fucking rights. I mean, you see if people get canceled that are on the quote-unquote left-hand side, and the leftists are the one canceling the leftists. So, just because you quote-unquote think that, because you're on one particular side, and this is kind of like going off topic when it comes to Facebook. But whatever side that you're on, man, you're going to have to hearken to whatever principle it is. So when, let's say you're on the left hand side or whatever else it is, and, like when people ask me, well, why the fuck are you so hateful of the left hand side? What is bad about socialism? And I'll ask those people, I said, what is good and what is good about socialism? Because if you deep delve into the deep totes of socialism, it's one big mind fuck where the government basically gets to tell you what to do and what to think. It's no different. Like at least with capitalism, you have some freedom. And I'm not saying this society here in America is quote unquote great. You know what I'm saying? Obviously, America was not built on the principles that it claims to be. It was built on principles of a false narrative when it comes all the way down from slavery all the way down to what the blacks used to be and what the Native Americans look. Like a Native American isn't just some light skinned dude with long hair and like I said, those pictures of those Native Americans. Native Americans were different shades of dark and had all types of aspects of features and were black men and like yeah, there was mulatto ones and stuff like that, but a lot of the stuff they teach you at school, man, it's all from their narrative perspective. It's not the truth, So we live in an age, like I said, the age of information, to where a lot of things are starting to come out about certain demographics, and a lot of people are starting to realize, man, maybe the beliefs I have ain't necessarily hold no fucking weight, and Facebook is a part of that. All what Facebook does is it's a data collector, and I gotta hurry up with this podcast to get done. But what you need to know about Facebook is that it's a data collector. Okay, so what happens with Facebook, and this is now I'm back into the conversation with Facebook, is that when you, let's say for instance, if you let's say you got baby daddy issues or baby mama issues, let's go with that. What Facebook's going to do is whatever you share regarding a baby mama, it's going to continue to show you that, because the whole purpose of Facebook is that it's collecting data. And really, the reason why Facebook is collecting data is because they want to see what the masses are really thinking, so that they could take that data. Let's say, for instance, 50% of the masses on Facebook are more interested in, colorful word salad. Okay, I'm just going to make up something, where, somebody says something that is is like a sentiment that is conspiratory or just feels like it's a big rabbit hole. They'll take that data in. Let's say 50 to 60% of the masses are interested in fucking Chinese food. They will take that in consideration and take that data for Chinese food and figure out how they can use it in a way to try to possibly maybe get the masses to convert over to what their agenda is. Because understand, just like all of us have an agenda in life, the government's got a fucking agenda as well. And of course, if people understand the money system here, they understand that the agenda is always going to be based on money. And if you understand our money system per se, from a perspective that we're the fucking money, and whatever the government does or fucks up, we have to take the brunt of that. So when this whole thing, like for example, tomorrow is voting, people need to understand. Hold on a second before I gotta check this thing again. All right. So we got about 12 minutes left. So getting back to what I was saying, there's votings tomorrow. You got, I don't really didn't want to get political here, but you got Tudor Dixon, all right? Gretchen Whitmer, all right? Now, of course, the people on the left-hand side, they're probably going to vote for Gretchen. People on the quote-unquote right-hand side going to vote for Tudor Dixon. Now, of course, my personal opinion on both of the candidates, I would say, Gretchen Whitmer is not who she claims to be. She's kind of, she's this character that, has a lot of dirt on her. And anybody that doesn't understand politics, understand something, dude. Like Gretchen Whitmer, is she a big witch and a very evil person behind the scenes? Absolutely. Hell yes, she is. Does she not give two fucks about the people or anything? Fuck yeah. Is she down for the quote-unquote New World Order? Yes. Is she bought and paid for by the Democratic Socialist Party? Absolutely. But Tudor Dixon is also bought and paid for. She is also bought and paid for. Now, people want to know, well, Lance, who do you think is the best candidate? Well, here's what you got to understand. It's based on, like I said, I'm not going to tell you who to quote unquote vote for. That's up to you. You just need to understand the consequence that comes with voting that person in. If the only reason why you're voting for Governor Gresham is because of Roe versus Wade, that might not be a good thing. Okay? Understand something. They're not going to ever outlaw abortion. That's going to be something they're going to keep, regardless of what you try to think. Of course, that Roe versus Wade thing, there's a lot of reasons why they overturned it. It really had more to do with trying to create this frenzy because, believe it or not, I don't care what anybody says. People need to understand that the Republicans and the Democrats, they're both together in this dynamic. So they have to masquerade and act like they don't like each other. But they do. Tudor Dixon is backed up by Betsy DeVos. That is true. Now, if anybody's ever been to Grand Rapids, Michigan, because I live in Michigan, um, you got a lot of DeVos like stuff out there, particularly down in Grand Rapids in the downtown area. DeVos is very powerful down there. Do I think Tudor Dixon is a better candidate than Gretchen Whitmer? I'm going to say something like this. They're both characters. Of course, Tudor Dixon sounds better than Gretchen Whitmer. She may be slightly better than Gretchen because I look at Gretchen Whitmer and I would say that she's not the candidate she's trying to portray to the people. And I think Michigander people are tired of her shit, which is understandable. But Tudor Dixon, to be honest, me personally, I probably would trust her more than I would trust Gretchen Whitmer. I hate to say that, and that's going to piss off a lot of people that are quote unquote on the left hand side of my friend circle, but I don't really care. Um, I'm not saying it based on the fact that I think Tudor Dixon is quote unquote a perfect person. All right. These politicians are bought and paid for. I don't care what side they are. And I'm here to let you know that, hey, that's going to be up to you to decide, but you better be forever, prepared for the consequences. You shouldn't vote for a candidate just based on one particular thing. You should have an agenda based on what you're going to gain financially from it. A lot of people, they go in and they vote because of one little stupid narrative. If you go in and vote for Gretchen Whitmer just because of abortion, you're going in there with your eyes closed, with a blindfold on, you know, and while sitting in a wheelchair, while trying to cross the Grand Canyon, pushing yourself. All right, you might fucking fall off. So you got to find something more, that is going to work economical. You got to kind of do research. Now with Tudor Dixon, yes, she's bought and paid for by the DeVosses. I think she's a switchover. She was a Democrat, now she's a Republican. You got to be careful of those people. They're playing chameleons. So all I'm gonna tell y'all is that's up to you, motherfuckers. I don't even know if I'm gonna vote tomorrow because I don't even know if I'm registered, and I really don't give a fuck. At the end of the day, whatever happens, happens. I don't really have high expectations for the society as far as it getting better. Because I know the end game is this whole society is gonna fucking collapse and fall. I'm sorry. Um, But hey, that's up to you guys. If I do decide to vote, I'm not going to tell you who I'm going to vote for. I'm just giving you kind of the rub on what these candidates represent. They're both characters, and I wouldn't say neither one of them are that great. But Tudor Dixon, she seems more logical. But then there's some things that, of course, people say, and people say, "Well, Lance, are you against abortion?" Here's what I'm going to tell you right now. When it comes to abortion, because I don't want people to get offended. I'm not totally against abortion if it's a medical and if it's based on a woman being raped or incest, fine. But when it comes to this whole abortion thing where people are trying to turn it into it's a health concern and stuff like that, I have to look at statistics. When I see that probably 80 to 90, maybe even 95% of the abortions are not based on rape, incest, or any of those things, I do think that there should be regulations to that. I don't think that you should just walk up willy-nilly and just abort your baby. I think you need to be more responsible, which means wear a fucking condom and take your birth control. If you don't like that, too fucking bad. But you got too many women up in here thinking that, you're dealing with, and people say, well, a clumps of cells isn't a life. Look, I'm not a biologist. I don't give a fuck. The truth be told is that if you're going to quote unquote claim that it's your body, your choice, then your dumbass needs to learn what it means to choose and make the right decision. Some of these women think that just because you don't just because it's your body doesn't give you the because if you don't treat your body right, what happens to your body? It fucks up on you, right? So for a lot of women out here that think that they should have the right to just abort their kid whenever they fucking want, I think you have to look at it. I think that makes you kind of evil. Actually, not kind of evil. That makes you kind like it's a bad look on you, because I see women all the time out here marching and oh, I've had 3 abortions. I don't give a fuck. I mean, that's kind of cold. What's really funny about the whole situation with the abortion is that you know some of these girls were born from a single mother. So, I don't know if any of these girls ever sat down with their mom and asked them, Mom, when you had me and shit like that, did you ever consider, aborting me? Because a lot of your guys' mothers, and this is not trying to slander, they may have considered that and then they didn't do it and realized you were the greatest gift they ever had. So you got to have a little bit of compassion to a certain extent. I get that, yeah, oh yeah, abortion, we're not going back to the night. No, we're not fucking going back to the 1950s. We're in 2022, but when you sit there and you use, for example, a lot of the women that have been raped or incest and everything, when you use that as a sentiment for you to feel like you have the right to abort a baby just because you're irresponsible, that's not the same as women's health. For me, when it comes to abortion, if a woman's been raped or whatever else it is, incest, yes, I think that she should have the right, but you don't have the right to just do it just because. Now people say, well, what about if a 14, 15, 16-year-old gets pregnant? That's an issue with a family. Why are these families out here not telling their daughters, hey, don't be going out here and getting pregnant? And of course, people will say, well, what about the family? What about if that girl was raised in a single and her mother wasn't a good mother? I said, yeah, that's the issue. This is all based on there's no family structure anymore. You know what I'm saying? So that's not an issue that excuses the behavior. It's just that's what happens when you promote ideologies that break up families. You need a father in the fucking home. And not just any old, not a doormat, a good father that's going to give a bitch direction, and the son direction too. And until you're able to accept that, then hey, this stuff's going to continue to go on. It's never going to change. I'm sorry. So, I'm going to end up ending this podcast. I think I kind of just said what I needed to say. I kind of covered various topics. I was trying to stay just on Facebook, but, Justin, I can hear you laughing up there, you piece of shit. Shut the fuck up. So, and get your ass down here and come turn this audio off. Be a good producer. Since you want to laugh up there, I can hear you right through the mic. You can't even be quiet while laughing. Anyways, I'm just talking shit. I love Justin. He's a little brother. So, I'm going to let this podcast end. We'll talk about this at a later time. Let me get out of Justin's house because, before I end up strangling his ass. Good day. Hey, Justin. I can hear you laughing through the mic.